Hello, this is a prepaid collect call from
Dante.
An inmate at the Jackson Correctional Institution. All calls, other than properly placed attorney calls, may be monitored and recorded. To accept charges, press 1. To refuse charges, press 2.
If you would like to permanently block your number from receiving calls from this facility, press
6.
For balance and rate quotes, press
7. Thank you for using
CenturyLink.
You may start the conversation now.
Welcome to the Incarcerate U.S. podcast. I'm your host, Dante Cadian. This morning I'm speaking to Miss Gloria Woods. She is a mother, an evangelist minister, a social worker, and the author of a new book entitled Broken Shackles, A Mother's Journey. Good morning, Miss Woods.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. Thank you for taking the time to have a discussion with me this morning.
My pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity.
I have a couple of questions I'd like to ask you to get your perspective on some of the components of mass incarceration in America. But before we get to those, let's talk a little bit about you and the work you're doing. Actually, in preparation for this interview, I read your bio, and it's quite impressive. Not only for the things that you've accomplished, but also for the things that you aspire to accomplish. And hopefully, at some point in this interview, we'll get to some of those aspirations. But let's talk about your book, Broken Shackles, A Mother's Journey. What is it about, and what inspired you to write it?
It is about a personal experience I had, which began in 2009, where my daughter, she kind of got away from the family. She had 3 children, 2 twin children, and my grandson, who was the oldest, who was 2 years old at that time. Long story short, she ended up with what we call charged with negligent homicide, because one of my youngest granddaughter, of course, died because she connected with some people that she thought was going to keep her kids, and she went to try to get a job somewhere in another town, and unfortunately left them at the house, and the youngest daughter died. And basically what happened was she got fearful, and she ended up placing the baby in the backyard in the garbage bin. Of course, needless to say, this was a highly publicized case, and it ended up, one thing led to another, and actually the authorities began to interrogate me also. So this trial went on for 2 years. I went through so many emotions and feelings, at the same time trying to stand by my daughter, and the legal system also did not even give me an opportunity to get custody of my grandchildren. So needless to say, the book is about all of the different things we experienced, the court system, the hearings, the way we were treated, the way, the public eye looked at us as in disdain as we went through this process. But in the end, I was able to come out of it, and I was able to write this book, Broken Shackles, A Mother's Journey. And it really is to help the incarcerated, but also to minister and to bring hope to the families of the incarcerated, who sometimes go through things that other people don't go through. So that is the crux of Broken Shackles, A Mother's Journey.
Absolutely. And my condolences. As you know, a lot of times in life we can't really control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond to it. And I have tremendous respect for how you responded to that. But I come to prison when I was 17 years old, so that your struggle, as I'm listening to you, it's like you describing my mother's struggle. So she went through some very similar things. So much love and respect for you for that effort. Are there some specific messages that you would like for your book to deliver?
Yes. Basically, for me, I went through severe depression during this time. Honestly, there were a couple of times I got admitted to the stress center for depression, insomnia. I was on all kind of medications, but I was able to get through that process. Also, when you deal with incarceration, it was like I blame myself. Had I been there, had I known, had I been there, had I checked on them more, had I tried to I looked through the window a couple of days to try to find them, and no one was in there, it seemed. But what could I have done more to maybe prevent this, and also to help families as they go through dealing with the stigma of incarceration? Because honestly, to tell you the truth, people begin to look at me differently. A lot of people, when they deal with incarceration, we don't want to talk about it. But because my name was out there, even as far as on the Nancy Grace show, they had this whole thing on there. So yes. I was out there whether I wanted to or not. But yet and still, in the end, I meet people every day that, in that fact, they'll come up to me at work, because they have someone incarcerated, and I'm able to kind of share with them and talk with them. And also, I see the injustices that are in prisons too, because my daughter was in one prison in which they didn't have running water for them for 6 months. So I'm also concerned about the family, but I'm also concerned about where the prisoners have to go when they're inside. So those are the messages I want to send out. I also, at one point, me and my family were homeless, and so I want to minister and help the homeless population. Also, I'm working with a group called Say Yes to Second Chances, because I live in the state of Florida, and when people come out, they do not get their voting privileges back, which affects clemency and other issues. So I'm concerned about that. So my book just kind of like opened up a whole different, other things that I can be involved with, because I feel like we have to be a part of the change too.
Absolutely. And to our listeners who may be experiencing some of the same thing you've experienced, what would you like for them to know?
Number one, I would like for them to know that you're not the don't allow society to make you feel that you're less. A lot of times we feel like we did something wrong, but you did not do anything wrong. I also feel like you mentioned earlier about mass incarceration. I feel like that's a way to keep, especially our black males, and sometimes not even black males. They try to keep them down, and then when they come out, do we have services that are going to provide? Do we have organizations that will help them get jobs? Because they, the prison that my daughter's in now, they have all kind of educational opportunities and all this, but, what are we going to do to help people when they come out?
Absolutely.
To give them hope. They serve their time. Why you want to still make them criminalized or marginalized when they come out of prison?
And then you got over 2 million people locked up, and you got like 95% of them coming home. So
right.
They're gonna be our neighbors. They're gonna be in the community. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's extremely important to put that kind of effort in, because at the end of the day, we all in this together.
Right, we are.
No matter what stage you're on, no matter how much money you make, no matter what neighborhood you live in, at the end of the day, as human beings, we all in this together. We all in this together. You're so right. So where can your book be bought? Where is it for the people that's interested in reading your message and connecting to your story? Or where can they find it at? Okay, it's it's on Amazon.com. Okay. Also, I have a website, GloriaWoods.com, that it can be purchased on that website. And also, I have it for those that have access to Facebook. I have my Facebook page called Broken Shackles, and it can be purchased on there, or they can, more than welcome to email me at brokenshackles3@gmail.com. That's brokenshackles3@gmail.com. Okay, and to the listeners as well, I'm going to make sure to put all those links along with this podcast as well. Oh, wow, thank you. So it's my understanding that you minister to the incarcerated and their families. Please tell us a little bit about that. Okay, well, we have in Pensacola, we have the Escambia County Jail there that I minister to. Ironically, I think about a year and a half ago, there was an explosion in one portion of the jail, so that is not even functioning. And so actually last week I had an opportunity to go to a commissioner meeting because I'm so concerned about our jail and, how you're housing these inmates. And I discovered they have 155 inmates sleeping on the floor, which just really, really
got me. So I'm even trying to take this to a higher level to get involved in, I'm not a politician, but I feel like in order to make changes, I gotta go to the government, and speak, and I want to become a lobbyist for the incarcerated and their families. That is my greatest desire at this point. So I'm ministering there. Our church has a prison ministry where we do Angel Tree, which ministers to the children of the incarcerated, and we do a party every year, and we give gifts and stuff to the incarcerated. And I also have got involved in Prison Fellowship and Angel Tree that sends children of the incarcerated to camps at different churches in the summertime. So that's where my heart is right now.
And Angel Tree, I've been in prison for like 22 years now, and for many of those years, I used Angel Tree myself. It's a phenomenal organization. Actually,
it is. Yeah.
Actually, they just recently put up a flyer for Angel Tree literally like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. It's a phenomenal organization.
Right, it is. It really is, yeah. And I minister to so many people, because I personally, we have a party at our church, but I personally go to the homes of these people and deliver the gifts because I want a one-on-one experience. I want to be able to connect with them so that after Christmas we still can connect, So that is my passion. That is my desire, because, I feel like, my daughter, she still has, she got 15 years, so she still has the time to go, but can I minister, just because she's in prison, do I not minister to other people? It is my job and it is my calling to minister to other people outside of the walls of a church house.
Indeed. And it's my understanding as well that you aspire to set up a scholarship fund for the incarcerated and their families.
Exactly.
What inspired that inspiration?
What inspired that for me is because I wanted my daughter to go to college, and when she was out, not in prison, she never got her GED. Well, the last prison she's in now, she was able to get her GED. We went down to the prison, and they had a graduation like it was a regular graduation. They have educational opportunities. So my thing is, she's getting a lot while she's there, but what about that group of people that don't have those opportunities? Right. And, when you come out, you're not going to have money, because number one, the majority of people, the government's still going to try to put them on probation. So then you got those things that needs to be done, and very few people want to hire them. So if I can establish a program, a outreach where I can provide scholarships for vocational or whatever they need, and for that, I feel like that would be such a wonderful thing because we need to have them when they get out too.
And then to add to that, education has a way of completely transforming the way you think.
Right.
In some substantial ways. So that's and you would wonder why education isn't one of the main principal and primary tools used within the rehabilitation process in prisons across the country. So but they don't provide it. So that service is definitely necessary, and I hope you have a friend in me. So whenever you got something going on, whenever you want to promote something, please holler at us.
Okay.
And so that brings me to a couple of my questions about mass incarceration. America has gotten itself into an incarceration crisis, as you know. Today we have over 2 million of our own people in prison and millions more on parole and probation. From your point of view, from your perspective, how do you think we've gotten ourselves into this crisis?
Honestly, to tell you the truth, I feel like that it is a government's way of keeping people down. We put people in prison for stuff that, we probably could have done something different for. It's a way to make money off of people's lives. It's a form of slavery, Indeed. In my opinion. Here in Pensacola last week, and I didn't even realize that the young man, he was 19 years old, and he was a member, his mother was a member of our church. I didn't even know he was a member of church, but I was following the case, and it was only for 3 days, and they had no evidence on him, no DNA, to connect him with the actual killing of this person, even though they said he stole some money from her. The gentleman got a life sentence, and they had the trial, and they sentenced him all in the one day. And so to me, all in one day, I was just the whole evening, all I could do was cry out to God and say, God, it reminds me, of when the children of Israel, they were in bondage and to the Pharaoh, and they didn't want to let the people go. This reminds me, this situation here that we're in with this mass incarceration is that we're in bondage and they do not want to let our people go. And I'm not saying about white, black, I say in general. They arrest people and give them long prison sentences for stupid stuff that does not even line up with anything, So I'm like, it's mass incarceration.
And taking things to the extreme is definitely one of the worst components of mass incarceration in America.
Right.
Extreme sentences, extreme everything, extreme violation of your civil rights once you've been released. Extreme stigmatizing people. It's to the extreme in every area, and that's one of the things that has to change before this is transformed. And that brings me to my next question. What do you believe are the first steps toward complete prison reform in America? What do you think the first thing that we need to do as a country?
I think as a country, we need to look at our laws. We also need to also hear the voices of the people that maybe have gotten out. Yeah. Hear the voices of parents and children and husbands and wives, but also that's why I'm working so hard with say yes to second chance for people voting privileges.
All calls, other than properly placed attorney calls, may be monitored and recorded.
Please continue.
Okay, so my thing is, can we get some of these people that have been in prison voting privileges back so we can get some of these people out of office that don't care nothing about the incarcerated?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but we got to get the message out. I feel like, my message is just as important as somebody behind a pulpit preaching a message. This is a message that God has commissioned me to do, and I'm very passionate about it, and it's important that we know. And then, me, for example, I never thought in a million years that my daughter would be in prison because she was raised in a Christian home. But yet and still it affects everybody. It affects everybody. So, while you do this with me today, you might be somebody in the White House or somebody, and you may have to deal with incarceration too, even though you probably can get it covered up. But my thing is, it affects us all. My message is, I want to get the word out there. I want to help people.
Indeed, and that's and you definitely have a very powerful, very eloquent, very articulate voice, and that's the main purpose behind this podcast is to tell the stories and to expose the different inadequacies and the different issues around the country. So thank you so much. You are a delight, and I hope to have the opportunity to interview you again in the future. Like I said, you are a friend. You are a friend of mine, and I appreciate you. This is Dante signing off with the Incarcerate U.S. podcast, a place where all of our voices come together.
The caller has hung up.